Working in the golf industry, you would think that the equipment that Dan and I play would be nailed down to a T, but the truth is, we're just like many of you. We like to tinker, self-diagnose and make changes, and suffice to say, that doesn't always go to plan. Luckily for us, we had the chance to visit Titleist's premier ball testing facility to get fully fitted for a golf ball, understand how different balls perform and react in different ways, and learn some of the common pitfalls to be avoided when choosing a golf ball. It's fair to say the results surprised us, so sit back and enjoy.
Right then, Sam, golf ball. If anyone's clicked on this video, they're thinking more about golf ball and getting fit for the right one. We've both been fit for it. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think before we get into any of this conversation about fitting for a golf ball, talk to me about the importance of the golf ball and, if anything, using the same one.
Yeah, it's pretty critical. I mean, golf ball is literally the only piece of equipment you use for every single shot, as most people are probably aware. But it's funny how many people overlook the importance of the performance of that golf ball, and finding the specific ball for their game is going to make massive changes to their performance. So whether that be you're someone who naturally launches the ball a bit lower, and so, you know, a higher launching, higher spinning golf ball might be of benefit to you, likely vice versa. If you play in the wind, you might want to flight it down, so you might want a lower spinning, lower flighting golf ball. These are all little things to consider. You know, we could go right down into the short game. Do you like the audible kind of click or feel of a certain golf ball? Is that going to help you with your pace control? There's all these things to consider. And yeah, we were lucky enough, obviously, to head over to Manchester Lane, Titleist's premier ball testing facility in New Bedford, just south of Boston, weren't we? And we were fit through Steve Cohen, who was head of ball education and fitting. So we literally had the best guy for the situation we were in. And we learned probably even more so how important finding the right golf ball for our game was.
Yeah, we've both got very different games. We'll come on to our individual fittings in a minute and what we learned and how we can pass that on to you. But should we chat about how Titleist do ball fittings first, Sam? Because there's kind of three levels to it, right? We found that kind of middle level that people can get access to. But talk about how Titleist offer ball fittings at three different levels.
Yeah, so from the get-go, you've kind of got the online ball selecting tool, which is essentially going on their website, and you kind of answer like a series of questions. It's very brief, but it will give you a good understanding. It measures things on how far you hit a 7-iron. Believe it's rough club head speed, handicap, conditions that you play in, and it will pop out an example, or I think it actually gives you two. So it gives you like a primary ball that you probably should consider, as well as a secondary option. But then you do have kind of the tour level fitting. So if you're really wanting to enhance kind of your performance, if you're really serious about your game, you know, to the top level, probably you're competing at a very high standard, you want the absolute most out of your game, then you would go for one of these tour level fittings, which would take place at one of their major fitting centres, such as Manchester Lane, where we were. Over in the UK, you would have the Titleist Performance Centre at Woburn, so they would kind of be your options there, as well as obviously Oceanside out in California, where I know you and Joe went last year. Now that would be far more in depth. You're talking a substantial amount of time to make sure that you get the right ball for your game. You would go through all the different kind of stations in your game. Like I said, short game, you would work the whole way throughout the bag. However, there is the middle kind of option, as it were, which is what we got to experience, which is their golf ball fitting app. Now, this is a really cool kind of, I would say, quite easy way to get fitted for the right ball.
Interactive, even for a simpleton like me, pretty intuitive. Like I picked up what was going on.
Exactly, yeah. And it's essentially, you would answer a few questions with whoever is taking you through this fitting. In our case, it was Steve. But if you're looking to do something like this, the listeners and viewers of this video, then you can essentially go to Titleist's website and you can find a way in order to have one of these fittings yourself through Titleist staff ambassador, someone who has a TrackMan and an indoor studio. They conduct these fittings with a Pro V1 as kind of standard. That's your standard ball. And then from there, you would hit a series of shots. You would answer a few questions, much like the golf ball fitting app, the online selector tool, such as how fast do you swing your driver, how far do you hit a 7-iron, what kind of conditions do you play in, etc. And then you go through a series of shots like we did.
Yeah, so should we talk about that? Because I think that we both had the fitting. We'll just do yours first, because before you even hit a ball, you're getting asked these questions, and Steve emphasised how important these bits were, such as feel, off the putter, off the wedge, like a clickier sound off the wedge, like it's firmer. And it's surprising how he said the app they put together, how much that actually weighs in to the ball it pumps out at the end effectively for you. So you say, do you like it? Do you prefer it softer? And you get a rating of 1 to 5 on either end. And I didn't quite realise how important that was going to be, but it really is for a lot of golfers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's quite interesting that obviously the Pro V1 is the most popular ball, in the game. And that's kind of their middle ground. It's also their starting point. So what I really like about this kind of process, especially with Steve, who, he's the most knowledgeable man at Titleist when it comes to ball fittings. And they start at this ball because they believe that all dedicated golfers should probably consider using their Premier ball.
Yeah.
There are other balls, slightly more affordable golf balls, if that is a serious consideration for you when purchasing golf balls. However, they start with Pro V1, and then from there, like you said, you would answer these questions, and then as you're hitting, the app's intuitively kind of picking out certain things in your ball flight, launch characteristics, descent angles, to then work out which balls essentially you should consider for your game.
Yeah. So you started with, it's 60-yard pitches first, isn't it? And you hit 3 of them. And if you hit a bit of a naff one, Steve, they're like, is that how you normally hit it? And you're like, no, that wasn't. So he takes that away.
Exactly.
So you get the 3 of them first, right? So you hit 3 wedges, 3 7-irons, 3 drivers.
3 full pitching wedges.
I forgot about that one as well.
Your half wedge shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting a really good understanding of all the different shots kind of throughout the bag, launch, spin characteristics of those. And then we do hit 3 drivers at the end. Steve was, I would say he didn't say that it's not worth doing, because I think he also kind of counteracted that with, it's really important in a ball fitting that this will spit you out a ball before you even hit a driver.
Yes.
Because we can then tailor, the drivers have got to the point of such kind of sophistication with their adaptability. Can you change throughout the sure fit hosel on there, the weight tracks in a lot of these drivers now, so they can dial in a club for the ball that you've been selected for the rest of your game. However, it is also important to see the ball flight with driver. If you're spinning a driver off the planet,
it kind of just rounds off the whole fitting, doesn't it, really? It's got the information it wants from the really important clubs, the scoring clubs, which is your wedges, your full pitching wedges, your 7-irons. You want those in the right flight windows with the right amount of spin. The driver, as you rightly said, can be tinkered with to help bring spin down, change shot shape. The ball's less important there. So talk us through yours, and what ball were you playing before you arrived to Manchester Lane, and what ball are you now playing now you've had a full fitting and have left Manchester Lane? And spoiler alert, it changed.
It did change, yeah.
Surprising for a man of your level. You play off +4 for those who don't know.
Well, that's what's quite interesting.
More dialed in.
I know. As 2 people who work within golf equipment, it's
surprising lack of knowledge before.
It's almost embarrassing that we're diving into equipment, we're using equipment, and to some extent, I do feel like you need a certain amount of feel behind what you're using. You have to like what you're using, and numbers. When it comes to this ball fitting, numbers that it spits out and gives you this kind of ideal ball that you should be playing, I do feel like there is a level of, do you like what it's doing visually as well?
Of course, yeah, of course.
And so you do have to take that into account. And obviously I've done that. But to go back to your question, I've previously been playing the Titleist Pro V1X. I essentially want a touch more launch and spin out on my longer irons and my longer clubs, but also I prefer a firmer feel. For me, that's something with my putting in particular. I struggle with pace control when I start to feel a softer ball. I just feel like it springs off the face a little too much. So a firmer ball just helps me with that. However, going through the fitting process, computer says no. And Titleist Pro V1 was actually what it offered me as my most suitable option.
And it gives like a percentage score, doesn't it, of suitability.
Well, it
throughout
doesn't
their range.
for your main choice, because
the
that's
other
your
ones,
out and out, and then it gives you that list afterwards. And what was quite interesting was Pro V1X wasn't even my second option at that point. It was the Pro V1X left dash. Now, the reason I would imagine behind that is that I did express the fact that I do like a firmer feeling ball, of which the left dash is, and it still offers that kind of high launch. So I'd imagine that's where that came out. But as a whole, and that was about 36% for the left dash. So in terms of a percentage, the Pro V1 was obviously, I'd imagine,
way
a
higher,
decent amount, a decent percentage out of that, because to then have my secondary option at 36% and then still have the likes of Pro V1X and AVX under that, I'd imagine the Pro V1 came out as a pretty clear favourite there.
And it showed how important, as I said at the start, those questions that you answer that you can do on the app or you do in this fitting process are so important. The feel of it, the harder feel, softer feels is so important. I also came away with a different golf ball.
I was going to say, should we? Yeah. Do we want to talk about this?
Well,
I feel like we have to.
I have to at this stage. But so I'm a single-figure handicapper searching for everything at once, right? And I hadn't changed my ball for yonks. I was Pro V1 just as a stock. That's just what I play. With no reasoning behind it, by the way. Still at that stage, I just thought this is Pro V1. You play a Pro V1.
I think that's what's quite interesting, isn't it?
That's what people just do.
It's because it is the most popular ball.
You just want it. You're like, well, I want to play that. It's fine. Cool. So
Exactly.
I played that.
Yeah.
Then I was like, what's this AVX all about? Because I knew that was lower long game spin. And I was spraying my drive around all season like no one's business. And it's not my fault. It is my fault. But I was like, let me
thought it was the ball.
Let me try and help myself out. It was all the ball. Let me try and help myself out. I'll just get a dozen AVX, lower long game spin, and maybe that's going to bring my drive into some level of control, right? And that is the classic self-diagnosing single-figure handicapper getting it horribly, horribly wrong. Because after my fitting with Steve, I hit the ball quite nicely actually, which was lovely. Representative as well. The percentage thing we were just speaking about, AVX came out at 0%. Not even
0.
Not even like a custom at 1, maybe.
Not even a token gesture.
It said, and Steve looked at me
close.
straight away and said, before I even started hitting, I said to Steve, Steve was like, why are you in the AVX? And I said, the reason I just said. He went, it doesn't really affect you.
Yeah.
Not going to help you bring your drive dispersion in by this much. I want you with your scoring clubs having the right spin and the right flight. And he saw straight away with the Pro V1 that we were using for the test, that was the one. And the computer spat that out. So again, a lesson for those listening or watching that self-diagnosing, if you're trying to find the right single ball for you, which is the end goal of all of this, to just use the rest of my life now, effectively.
That's it.
Don't self-diagnose, go get a professional to do it. Use data, for goodness sake, because we've got it all at our fingertips now. And if you're not using that to your benefit, you're going to be losing out in these little marginal areas, which I was.
I think that's quite interesting, isn't it, as well? Because I'd imagine you said you like the softer feel, and hence why you kind of went for AVX in that first place, but wanting to kind of tighten things in. And I guess it's probably an easier transition for you. Well, just to go back to a ball you're already using.
Used it.
But also,
I wasted 40 quid on AVX, but fine, whatever.
Exactly. And we do have a big event coming up with your club championship.
Exactly. So
probably not the time to be meddling with golf balls.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's one of those that I've now got to take into consideration. My previous clubs had been fitted with a Pro V1X golf ball. Mm-hmm. How much is that going to change if I now move into Pro V1? I'm going to have to go through some serious tinkering. I'm probably going to tap up Joe to do some loft and lie kind of checks there just to make sure that I'm kind of dialed in on that front. But I know that is the ball that performs best for me now. And it's now kind of up to me to kind of compensate and dial in my feel in order to use that.
It's confidence inspiring in a way that you're like, the little white thing that I use on every single shot is right for me. Go figure it out, basically.
Exactly.
So what was your conclusion leaving Manchester Lane then, and having had a ball fitting, and people watching you want to try and find the right golf ball for them? What is the step for them, and how much stress you need to put on it? Because some people are skeptical, Sam, and we want to turn that around.
Exactly, yeah. I think one of the things that I really took into consideration was, and I don't know if we'll flash this up on camera or not, but we actually obviously went through the ball plant tour while we were there with Titleist, and we saw the level of dedication and, I mean, the examination that went in behind every single ball that left that ball plant, and it was insane. It completely opened my eyes. Now, to know that those balls are built to those exact kind of specifications, and then going through the fitting process, being told that not only is this ball the best performing ball for me, I know there's nothing skipped in the process of making that ball. I've got absolutely no reason now to not go out and use that golf ball with full trust that it is the best ball for my game.
Exactly.
And so I'd only be doing myself a disservice if I didn't now go out and use that golf ball.
Exactly. And trust is key in all of our golf equipment, but especially the golf ball. So any skeptics out there watching, hopefully we've turned you around. You've got a new golf ball to go and play with. Yeah. I've got a new golf ball to go and play with. It's up to us, isn't it, Sam?
It is, yeah. And if you are interested in that fitting process, we should kind of reiterate the fact that people can go out and
You can do it as
visit the Titleist website, find the nearest kind of fitting centre for you, whether that be one of their main Titleist fitting centres or a local PGA professional who has access to the golf ball app, and you can also get fitted into the best ball for your game.
Exactly. Right, up to us now, isn't it? Let's go play. Go low. Go low this summer, Sam.
Thank you.
I'll try and win my
You
club
too as well.
championships. Yes. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.